My name is David Bethall, and I created Fleeting Flights. Fleeting Flights is about a man who tries to escape a shack via a wooden hot air balloon in an isolated woodland. We watch as he attempts to break his own loop and his own self-induced purgatory. What inspired the story and grabbed you as a filmmaker to create it? I think at the time I was working on making a treehouse for someone, so I wasn't on ground level. I was constantly in the middle of the tree. And I guess when you're always working, you're always thinking about your next projects. And I think it was in this time period I wanted to, or came up with the idea of making a wooden hot air balloon, which is obviously a bit far-fetched, a bit unreal, and it's something that's not really going to function or work. So I kind of just developed the story and the script from that, and then kind of brought the idea of a character of a man in the story who Garth played, and I wanted to kind of also get the struggle of, as well as the kind of the material, the wooden hot air balloon not working, but also the idea of the man's own consciousness and his own struggle to cope with being in an isolated woodland and how he was going to attempt to kind of get out, but also the idea that he couldn't, he was trapped in his own loop that he has self-made. I guess I've kind of always been interested in loops with Rodney Graham's work, and also with the opening scene of the Holy Grail. I quite like the daftness of that. What difficulties, if any, did you have to overcome to make the film? Well, for me, I come from a fine art background, and I've never made a film from a script or working with actors or a crew. It's always just been me, my sculptures, and maybe one or two other people just filming it, like documentary sort of style. So this was all a new challenge for me, from basically learning how to write a script and then working with actors, working with a DOP, sound guys, the lot really. So it was all pretty much a challenge for me, but one that I really enjoyed. But also I wanted to make the film, so it was shot at night in November, and I think it was shot in the coldest, one of the coldest nights of the year. I think it was like -6. And so it was quite challenging, not just for me, but also with everyone involved, and everyone was great, and we had such a good vibe that we kind of forgot of how cold it was, and when it came to leave the site, we kind of realised how cold it was by looking at the frozen screens on the cars, and had to wait another sort of half an hour on site just to defrost the screens to get out of there. So I guess, yeah, everything really. The subject matter difficult to shoot, and how do you think you did in portraying it? Like I said before, I come from a fine art background, so I wasn't really sure how we were going to bring the script to life until I met on site with John Gray and Len, who John Gray was the DOP, and then helped assist with writing the script. And we kind of went on site, and we made, I made the shack and the wooden balloon, so we could kind of run through the script and run through how we were going to shoot Fleeting Flights. And their kind of experience really helped overcome my, I guess, anxiousness and nervousness about how we were going to shoot it. But yeah, I guess their experience really helped put my nervousness at ease, really. How long did it finally take to lock down the script? The script took around 6 to 8 months to lock down the script, and I was kind of going back and forth with Len and developing this, making sure we were both happy, and he was kind of telling me how to format it for the actors I was later going to send it to. Did you have any budget And how did you go about funding the project? Luckily, I got funding from Arts Council England with the support of Mark Devereux Projects. And we also got extra funding from home in Manchester to make the film happen. Would you do it all again in the same way? If not, what would you change to make it even better? Well, I'm currently working on a follow-on from Fleeting Flights that basically looking at how I can move the man and the balloon forward into a sort of new film that is hopefully going to be the balloon becoming a submarine and the man sort of taking that submarine or building that submarine in a swimming pool. So I guess a submarine in a swimming pool. Who inspires you as a filmmaker? I really love Wes Anderson's films. I love Tarantino's films. I love animations such as Box Trolls and Up, which you can obviously relate to the wooden hot air balloon. And I guess because I come from a fine art background, I kind of love to have the influence of Baz Janade, Anthony Leitonen, David Blandy, Simon Starlin. They all kind of influenced my work. And I think at the time when I was kind of writing the script for Fleeting Flights, I watched a film called Adult Life Skills, which is about a 30-year-old woman living in a shed in her parents' garden, which is a great film. I think, yeah, that was kind of a bit of an influence on the script and my thinking for building a shack in a woodland. What's next for you and your team? I think I mentioned it in one of the previous questions that I'm looking at developing a script for the man and the wooden hot air balloon, which will be a submarine in a swimming pool, and how the man's got himself in that situation, but also how he's going to get out of that situation, as well as bringing in a few more characters. I think Flights I only worked with 2 characters, and I think I'd maybe increase this to 3 or 4 characters, but we'll see.